Namaste Credit has quickly become India's leading AI-based credit discovery and underwriting platform for businesses. So with that, I will turn over to Rob Clausen to introduce Lucas.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Clausen with Camp One Ventures. I'm here to introduce Lucas Bianchi and Namaste Credit. I was a seed investor in their seed round a few years back, and I've been, fairly closely involved with the business now for several years. I think it's a very interesting business. I think from a financial technology perspective, in the U.S. A lot of the opportunities are kind of, there's a number of players, there's a lot of competition. It seems like, a lot of the landscape has already kind of been taken up, and there aren't the same green fields that there are in India. So I think it's just been really interesting to watch and see what's possible in India, both from a capital efficiency perspective. I mean, with just a seed round, Lucas has been able to build a very large business, with 250 employees, millions of ARR, and just a fantastic team and great business relationships, and a big market potential and the like. So Lucas, by way of background, I've known him for quite a while. He's a Dartmouth graduate. Began his career during this kind of late dot-com period with Robbie Stevens, first as a technology investment banker, and then as research analyst. And really, had an opportunity to learn the technology industry and see what was going on. After doing that for several years, he worked with a big Indian business that was outsourcing investment banking services to the U.S. and to the investment banks, and he led their U.S. efforts very successfully. And that business was called Copal Partners. And then after doing that for a number of years, he started Namaste Credit. And again, Namaste Credit is a lending platform for small businesses based in India, and they go directly to businesses. But in addition, they built a SaaS platform and have partnerships with several of the largest banks now in India, including Deutsche and ICC. So they've done just an amazing job. And I think with that, I'll turn it over to Lucas.
Thanks, Rob. Can you guys hear and see me properly?
We can.
Great. So thanks for the great introduction, Rob. Very kind of you. I will actually start sharing my screen as well. And good morning to everybody. I'm, as Rob mentioned, based in India in Bangalore. So it's evening for me, but I know it's still morning for you all. So okay. So can you see my presentation now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So as Rob mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders of Namaste Credit. And Namaste Credit is a Bangalore-based fintech, really focused on automating small business and retail credit processes using AI, machine learning, and natural language processing. As Rob mentioned, we founded the business, myself and two business partners founded it in 2014. And he was one of our early backers, kind of believed in the idea. And luckily, I think we've been able to make something happen over the years. In 2018, we actually got a Series A financing from Nexus Ventures, and more recently, a bridge round from Amicus Capital as well. So today we're backed by a couple of global investors, and we're not in the capital raising process at the moment, but I wanted to introduce you to Namaste Credit to give you a sense of who we are and where we're heading over the next couple of years. As Rob mentioned, we started the business as a loan marketplace. This gave us two immediate benefits. First, it enabled us to monetize our platform almost from day one by facilitating loans and getting paid by the lenders to do so. This was very important because we had some seed capital, but not a huge amount, and we were able to build a true significant business out of it. Secondly, we were able to learn, how loans were being accepted and processed at the ground level. So every intricacy of the loan process, we were able to initially learn through our marketplace. What this parlayed into over the next several years is a SaaS business where we were able to go back to the same lenders we were working with and license to them our core platform so that they could then process all kinds of other loans that we were not sourcing, but that they were sourcing through all kinds of mechanisms, from their branches to other sourcing partners, etc. Today, I'm going to focus on our SaaS offering because we are in the process of starting to expand globally with this offering. And I believe it's the most applicable offering for the US market. The SaaS offering covers three major areas. One is a highly customizable loan origination system. This is perhaps the most crowded area, you could say, and one that we have as an add-on, and we have for smaller lenders that don't have existing infrastructure in place. It enables us to get up to speed with those kind of lenders very quickly. The second is our intelligent credit assessment model. This is really the core area where we do the processing and enable loans to be analyzed and dispersed in a matter of hours or minutes, even for very complex loans. The third area is our newest area. It's really risk monitoring, and as part of that, an early warning system. Wanted to give you a few key highlights of some of our traction to date and business successes. So today we work with over 80 lenders. All of these are institutional lenders and which have over 3,000 users with us. Some of these are via APIs, which I'll explain a little bit later, but some of them are on our LOS system as well. These users have, in aggregate, given us over 20 million documents to analyze over the past 6 months alone. So our system keeps getting better and better because we just have so much volume coming in. Since inception, we've actually analyzed over $2 billion worth of credit. And even in just the last month, because of the steep learning curve and steep traction, we analyzed over $400 million in credit. So things are really taking out, particularly in the SaaS world for us today. Today, as we have over 200 professionals in the company, and that's growing month on month. And as Rob mentioned, have several $1 million in annual revenue run rate. And this too is growing kind of 20% month on month. Because we're fond of our core base of technology, we've actually filed 3 patents, which I think is somewhat unusual for companies, at least in India. And so we move forward with that. In terms of the founding team, Rob mentioned my background and appreciate that positive introduction. The 2 other gentlemen, one is Gaurav, who's really our credit guy. He's been at HSBC, at Credit Suisse, at Moody's, has an FRM, etc. The second one is our CTO, Krishnan. His background was he spent a number of years at GE, and so really is a very structured, kind of product-oriented CTO. In terms of our core values, I wanted to highlight our core values because, as you're building a business, this tends to shine over time and really it kind of gets ingrained in every new team member and becomes your culture. So while several of the core values are, you could say, perhaps common among different technology companies, customer centricity, innovation, perhaps excellence, I think one that is important to us, particularly because we're in the financial services space and we partner with some of the biggest financial institutions in the world, is integrity. Right? Integrity is super important to gain the confidence of these financial institutions and ultimately just to be able to sleep well at night. In terms of what we've built in, in terms of our systems and processes, we've ensured that we have always followed, the best practices. And as a result of having gone through multiple rigorous evaluations, we've really put in place world-class systems at every level, from data security to segregation of information, to kind of even operational elements around how our tech teams deploy new versions of the product, et cetera. This level of rigor has been, we've gone through this level of rigor not only with legal and compliance departments, but it's even gone to the board level of some of these large institutions. As a result of all this, I think we've been recognized in the industry. KPMG actually recognized us as one of the top 50 fintechs globally last year. And Amazon made us the winner of their Amazon AI conference for the past 2 years in a row. I'll tell you a little bit about our tech stack. I kind of highlighted it on the initial slide. The first part of it is our loan origination system. As I mentioned, for smaller banks and non-bank lenders, we're able to set this up in a matter of 1 day and enable them to start interacting with us and benefiting from the core solution immediately. With bigger lenders where they already have infrastructure in place, our LOS is completely API enabled. And so we're able to pass information back and forth. Again, very, very quickly. We can do integrations in a matter of a week, or it really depends on the lender and how their systems are. But suffice it to say, the LOS is a very useful tool in engaging the lenders at whatever level they are. The second portion and really kind of the 3 next major modules have, you could call it microservices within them. But each one of them are distinct and important in their own right. First is the automation of KYCs. So again, here, this is maybe an area where there are a lot of different players and there could be good point solutions. But for many companies or money lenders, they still haven't automated all their KYC validations. And what we do uniquely is we're able to grab all the data from documents and vet it with the relevant databases, in a matter of seconds. This is actually the smallest area for us, but yeah, certainly a critical one for initial onboarding. The second area is what I would call kind of traditional financial analysis. This tends to encompass, balance sheets, P&Ls, income statements, traditional financial statement analysis. And it really forms the core of most lenders' credit decisions, even today still. The issue with it at lenders is that it tends to be very manual. But with our solution, we actually automatically are able to spread financials, in all kinds of different formats. The third area within the core ICAM solution is our cash flow analytics. This is an area that has really gained a lot of traction over the past few months. And I would say every financial institution is looking at this either to reevaluate their credit processes or just add to new products to their existing portfolio. It's an area that involves a lot of data and a lot of analytics. And so it's a difficult area to solve, but it's really one that we're seeing a lot of interest and traction around. The last area is credit monitoring. As I mentioned, this is our newest area. We're doing credit monitoring both on a periodic basis, i.e. monthly basis for the working capital customers, as well as real-time basis for the customers that are able to provide us with real-time cash flow data. Next, I'm going to tell you a bit about our automation processes in terms of how it works from data ingestion all the way through to credit decisioning. So this is a little bit of a workflow around how our system works. It really starts with the lenders providing data and documents to us. This can really form, it can be in the form of PDFs, it can be in the form of images or scanned documents. Often it's an application form with a bunch of scanned documents behind it. The lenders provide it to us, as I had mentioned, either through the LOS that we set up for them or through APIs. Then what happens is the scanned documents or the images, what we do is we take a first pass at them with ensuring that we have the best quality image. So we have an image correction layer that is document specific and uses custom built neural algos for each document type. So whether it be KYCs or banking, financials, each one we run through our image correction layer that enables us to get the best quality image and ultimately move on to the next step. The second step is our custom built OCR. This extracts the data from the improved image and keeps it in an unstructured format agnostic manner. So this is very important because data and documents come in all kinds of different formats. And so what our system is able to do is actually handle all those different formats, without customizing for every single format. The third step is natural language processing. With natural language processing, we're actually able to categorize and organize that unstructured data at a data point level. So when you're looking at a credit card statement, a bank statement, a mutual fund statement, a financial statement, every single data point needs to be categorized into what it actually is. So we do that automatically using a custom built NLP system. Since analog to digital processing does come up with issues, we've also built a machine learning layer on top of it. The machine learning layer, what it does is it corrects data that it knows is wrong and can find the correct solution to, and it highlights data that doesn't know what's going on. Then later, we can correct the data either ourselves or with our lender client inputs and feed it back into the machine learning layer. Finally, once we have all the data categorized, organized, and cleaned, we put it all into one package, combine it into a comprehensive credit profile. This has very detailed analysis and when we give it to lenders, they can immediately make credit decisions on each customer. The deliverables that we give back to the lenders are really in any format from APIs to JSONs, to even Excels, depending on how their operations work. Next, I wanted to tell you a little bit about how the lenders are working today and some of the challenges they face, at least before starting to work with us. First is high turnaround time. A typical lender has, a multi-day process for, a loan of a certain size from application to offer. So obviously that's a painful process. It doesn't allow them to scale very quickly. And the reason for it is because they're still gathering and processing a lot of this data manually, right? As a result of having credit analysts pick data from documents and put them into, Excels or LOS systems manually, this is very costly. Each individual application, costs, hundreds of dollars to process. In addition, when you're doing things manually, you can only pick the data points that you think are really relevant. You may not even know which ones are really relevant in the end, but you have a list of 100 data points or 200 data points that you need to get, and so you pick those manually. And as a result, you rely your credit decisioning on those 100 or 200 data points. Finally, while you may have engaged and gotten up to speed different point solutions, perhaps a KYC solution here, perhaps a banking solution there. At the end of the day, there still has to be an integrated process to come to a credit decision. And that often will fall upon the same credit analyst that is putting in all this data manually in the first place. What this results in ultimately is an operating model for many lenders that is headcount aligned and doesn't allow them to scale unless they're hiring more and more credit managers. Now, turning to the Namaste Credit ICAM solution, we provide massive benefits for the lenders from day one. As I mentioned, for some lenders, we're able to get up to speed in literally one day. If it involves integration, it may be a couple weeks. As soon as we're integrated or up to speed on the LOS, we provide the lenders 95% plus lower turnaround time. Instead of turning around a complex application in days, we're able to do it in hours or even minutes. As a result of automating all these processes, we're also able to lower the cost significantly, at least 75% per application. This too, even though we're providing so much more data. So instead of providing 100 data points for a borrower or an application, we're able to provide 100,000 data points because we're actually looking at every single line item in every single document that is given. Since we also have an AI-driven data validation process, we're able to ensure that the data is 100% accurate. We have a lot of inbuilt checks. For example, in banking, we have a running balance check. If any single item doesn't stack up to the previous one, it's highlighted. And so this may be a result of somebody trying to commit fraud, removing transactions or missing pages, et cetera, et cetera. Given our platform flexibility, what we're able to do is combine all this data and provide it to the lender in the format they want. So we provide a fully unified, comprehensive, intelligent credit assessment at the end of this process. And from a business perspective, what it ultimately allows the lenders to do is scale without scaling their teams. Wanted to give you a few case studies in terms of use cases that we've experienced over the past couple of years. First is one of the largest non-bank lenders and unsecured SME underwriting process. Before working with us, they were making credit decisions, just like I mentioned before, on just a few data points. One example is average banking balance. They were looking at average banking balances on 3 days in the month because that's all you could do manually. Now they're looking at all the days, right? Before, they were only looking at bounce checks in a banking record. Now they're able to actually refine their policies to look for other delayed payments, utility bills, tax payments, et cetera. So, we were able to give them all this increased data and enable them to actually refine their policies very, very quickly. The second case study that I was going to highlight here is a leasing company. It's the upper right one. This is a global leasing company, and their clients are usually large corporate clients. They tend to lease fleets of vehicles to these clients, and their process for underwriting these leases was to financially spread, their data. Before, they were doing it manually. With us, they were able to automate that process and have, same-day turnarounds with even these large corporate clients. The last one I wanted to highlight on this page was under the bank section in mortgage loan processing. Here, this is, Rob mentioned it, one of the biggest banks in India called ICICI. They get about 10,000 mortgage applications a month. And we were able to reduce their turnaround time for these mortgage applications for self-employed and small business borrowers from 3 days down to 1 hour. So obviously this was a huge benefit for them in the market and enabled them to actually gain market share in the process. My last slide here is on one of our key case studies of a global bank. This is actually a German bank. And what they did is they went through a significant evaluation process of multiple platforms and decided to standardize their entire underwriting process on us. This was a 6-month evaluation process. And what it resulted in ultimately was this bank getting, an immediate benefit. Within 1 month of going live with us, they were able to see all this huge performance improvement. And as a result of that, they're now doubling down on their investment in India, deciding to actually multiply their loan book here by some 3x over the next 18 months or so. So, we were able to show them that we could reduce their TAT 98%, that we can improve the quality of their underwriting, that we were able to standardize their underwriting. Their underwriting wasn't actually standardized. Each individual branch had separate underwriting. So we were able to help them in so many different ways so quickly that, as a corporate, they decided to actually expand their loan book in India. So with that, I'll close my presentation and open it up to any questions. As I mentioned, hopefully this gives you a little bit of a sense of who we are, what we're doing, and why we think that we can bring this solution globally.
Wow, Lucas, thank you so much for the overview. I mean, there's so much to unpack there. Really unfortunate that we have run out of time and are quite a bit over actually, but thank you
Okay.
so
Oh,
much.
sorry about that.
No worries. I wanted to make sure you got all that. But if anyone wants to get a hold of Lucas, you can, his email is on there, but or feel free to reach out to me and I'll put you in touch.